I started out as a print designer. I worked at a couple agencies in the past, doing a lot of things like flyers, print work, working with some local newspapers to get ads for our clients in.
Yeah.
And it was great. It was great experience, and I kind of dipped my toes in that realm of marketing. But after a while, I started to realize that there's this whole other ballpark of marketing in this digital space that we are kind of being forced into right now. So I started dabbling in motion design. I started dabbling in video because what I was finding is that video was a lot more engaging for our clients online than your traditional
Yes.
advertising, direct mail. Which no discredit to print advertising. There's still a huge market for it, right? But there was a bit more of a engaging, exciting angle that video marketing had
Sure.
in our industry, right? Uh, so I was working at an agency for a couple of years. Had great bosses there. Learned a lot about the business world in general. And Jesse Viola, who is our fearless leader here, I had met him at a networking event, and he was slowly trying to start this up. Kind of getting his feet wet as well in the marketing world. And we kind of linked up, and I told him that I love the video work he's doing. I love, the aesthetic and the whole feel
The
and
vibe.
the vibe, exactly. And
Yeah.
this whole narrative of kind of propelling people into this new digital space. So we linked up, we talked for a little bit, and I joined up here, and we've been building it for about a year. And we've been, relatively successful with our clients and slowly building up that client base and building our studio and our capabilities and our skills. And it's been great for us. We are a millennial run business. So things operate a bit differently here than, I've been used to in the past coming from the corporate world,
Hmm.
which can be a curse and blessing at
So,
times.
so give me the definition of that. Is that under 30? Is that how you're defining that?
But sure.
Okay.
So, I mean, they say that millennials are 40 and under. But quite frankly, I do not think that millennial is something that relates to age. I think millennial is a mindset.
That's right.
I think that people who are, cognizant of the way that communication changes, technology
And
changes,
embracing that.
embracing it instead of rejecting it
Right.
I believe is the millennial mindset, and not to discredit any of the older generations I've worked with, but I have worked with people in the past who have, rejected some of these emerging concepts and trends in design and marketing and content creation. And, I think that millennial mindset is understanding the fact that things are constantly evolving and new technology is always coming out, and you always have to stay on top of the curve and really sees yourself like that.
Yeah, as they say, the one thing that's assured is change. I should mention you were on my professional video panel last year.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, we didn't have that panel this year because of COVID, but the HIALI Association, which is very well respected, Joe, you gave some really great content. People really are still talking about it. So thank you for that, for sure. Hopefully we'll get back on track with that next year and just, putting out to all our corporate clients, customers, if you will, prospects, and letting them know what's available and what's changing. I think people look forward to that because it's too much really for any one entity to grasp.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
So Joe, catch up with me with some trends that you're seeing out there.
Something that we're finding very fascinating right now is the idea that a lot of these companies, especially here on Long Island tends to be a little bit behind the curve, versus let's say Manhattan areas or developed cities, right? And what I've noticed in the Corona era, obviously we've all experienced a lot of grief from it, and a lot of businesses have been put down, and we're trying to bounce ourselves back. But the one positive that comes out of this is that we have kind of forced ourselves to enter the digital era, whether we like it or not. And I'm seeing a lot more companies are, being more cognizant of the fact that, I've talked to friends who their businesses would never let them work from home because the thought of having an employee from home just didn't make sense to them. And now people are kind of embracing this technology and realizing that we can still communicate and we can still build and we can still grow, even if it is behind a screen. So I think, the one
Definitely.
takeaway that I'm hoping that companies have with this is you have a huge opportunity here to communicate your brand through a screen. And there's no more excuses to shy away from that, especially in today's day and age. This is where it's happening, and capitalize on that, and really think about how you're presenting yourself in the digital space.
It's so true. You know, it's so true. I've talked to more people in one-on-ones like this, which I thoroughly enjoy, in the last month that I could ever even talk to in 6 months or 8 months. So it's more efficient, especially on Long Island. We're getting in the car and fighting traffic, never mind the economy and, what that time element is, 4 hours as opposed to the quality 15 minutes you and I are going to spend right now. I think the writing's on the wall. Joe, let's give our audience some perspective on the different platforms. What do you like? What do you think is growing? Where do you see the excitement? We have Snapchat, we have Instagram, we have IGTV, which I personally love. We have Facebook, we have YouTube, which tends to be the informational
Mm-hmm.
reservoir. What do you like and why?
Something that I have actually started dabbling a lot more in is the LinkedIn space, right? LinkedIn has always been the baby of the social media platforms. People have argued that the ad center on there is very rudimentary compared to something like Facebook, for example. But what we're starting to see more, which we've been seeing for the past couple of years, but I think it's booming now, is people are recognizing the fact that, you know, we're kind of exiting the days of hitting somebody with a cold sales pitch in an email.
Yes.
LinkedIn kind of gives us this opportunity to position ourselves as thought leaders and showcase your personality, showcase your enthusiasm, showcase the people you're connected with, and make them recognize the fact that this guy knows what he's talking about,
Well, not
and he's
only that,
passionate about what he's talking about.
yeah, no doubt. But not only that, but there's an intrinsic understanding that that won't turn into a political debate or something else. That's
Right,
what's interesting about it.
right, exactly.
So you get more business attention. I love LinkedIn. I didn't mention it before, but I absolutely love it.
Hmm.
It's interesting how I think you can dedicate a whole system as to how you present yourself on LinkedIn. I don't think we've all figured it out yet.
Agreed. I agree. I think that, I would say historically from coming from a corporate environment, I find that a lot of people in the business world are very hyper focused on almost wearing a facade. They're very concerned about what they say, or, they watch their words. And I'm seeing more of a human element being introduced on LinkedIn where, these business professionals are also starting to recognize, like, we are regular people. Like, we are normal people who have flaws, but also have expertise. And, we can kind of provide that information in meaningful ways that have a bit more of a human connection, and it isn't so mechanical as a, here's an email about my products and
Yeah,
services,
that's
here's my
over.
1-800 number. You
Yeah.
connect with people that way.
I was saying to friends that email was dead 5 years ago, and they just, what are you talking about? What do you mean? Email is dead. It just is. How can you even catch up with it and everything else that has to do with the
Right,
cogging up the box and all that?
right,
So it's really
right,
a changed
exactly.
world. Great
Hmm.
stuff, Joey. I wish your company all the success in the world. I know you guys are going to do great things. You're brand new, baby company, everybody that's
Baby
listening.
company, brand new, brand
Right?
new.
I mean, February of this year, right? And then
Yeah,
boom, we
yeah,
got hit. All
yeah,
right.
yeah, yeah.
Awesome.
Cool.
Thanks for spending some time with us today on Long Island Talks. We'll catch up with you soon. That's Joey Gelfand of Viola Media.
Thank you, Kevin. Have a good one.
You take
Bye.
care, brother. Take care.